over here, and that makes these cancel, and we get 11, which is exactly what we have here and here. Okay, we're gonna try another one. Let's say this is 4. This is X, and this is Y. Go ahead and put it in the chat what X is. Notice where X is. Are we going to multiply times the square root of 2, or are we going to divide by the square root of 2? We're going to multiply. Good job, Axel. What'd you get? Right. Those of you at home, please show me your answer in the chat. The other way around, Gavin. Good job. I'm sorry? No, I'm adding more problems. Those of you at home, if you can put it in the chat. Not we have the side length. This is 4, which makes my y equal to 4 also. And my x, if we're looking for the hypotenuse, all we have to do is multiply that times the square root of 2. So your x is 4 times the square root of 2. We're not going to use decimals. We need to use the radical form. Okay, we're going to do one more with the hypotenuse. Let's say this is 10 square root of 2. What would be the length of x and y? Tell me in the chat, please. And those of you in class, if you can let me know also. Good job, Axel. Yep, good job. Yep, good job, Jackson. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Thank you for those that have been participating. I'm marking you down. All right, so not sure if math test was easy or if the math test was easier, if I did everything wrong. I totally can relate to this. Every time I used to take tests, I'm like, okay, was that too easy? Or did I do something wrong? And that's what a lot of you guys doing tests also. You guys need to trust yourself. When I want you to make mistakes is during class, so we can go over it. Some of you guys don't participate and don't want to give me your answers. Please give me your answers. This is where I can help you. If you don't tell me anything, I can't help you. All right, let's move on to the next type. We have a 90-degree angle. This is V, U, and let's say this is 20. The information that they give us is that this is 45 degrees. And if that's 45, then we know that this is an isosceles, right? The side that they're giving us is what side? Is it a side length or is it a hypotenuse? It gives us the hypotenuse. So we need to look for our side length. So what did our two rules tell us about the side length? Do we multiply by the square root of 2 or do we divide? We're dividing. Good job. So if we're dividing, we're going to say 20. We're going to start with 20. And then we're going to divide it by the square root of 2. And you want to think of it as my hypotenuse is big, we want it to get smaller, so we're going to divide. If we have the side length, we want it to get bigger to be the hypotenuse, so we multiply by the square root of 2. All right, so here we simplify. We can't really simplify when we divide on this one, so we're going to rationalize our denominator. So we get 20 square root of 2 divided by 2. Remember, when we multiply these two, we get the square root of 4, and square root of 4 is 2. And then my final step is to divide 20 by 2, and we get 10 square root of 2. And that gives us our two side lengths, 10 square root of 2 and 10 square root of 2. Because I couldn't simplify what, sweetheart? Yes, we always have to simplify. So every time we do something, we simplify it. So here we divided by 2. We tried to simplify it here. There's nothing we can simplify. But remember, we can't leave a radical in the denominator. These two? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so do you get what happened in this step? We just divided by the square root of 2. We need to rationalize the denominator. Remember, we can't have a radical. We can't have a square root in the denominator. So the way we practiced was that we multiplied times square root of 2, the bottom number and the top number. So then we get 20 times the square root of 2 divided by 2. So after we do that operation, then we look at our whole numbers, 20 and 2, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. Does that make sense? And that's how we get our two side lengths. All right, go ahead and do the problem on Pear Deck. Good job, Axel. Yep, good job, Gavin. So what side never, ever, ever will touch the 90-degree angle? This is my 90-degree angle. This side will never touch it. Notice how the other two sides are touching it, right? So your hypotenuse is the one directly across from that 90-degree angle. Yes. So then we're going to divide that number by the square root of 2. Not 2, but by the square root of 2. So then we try to simplify. There's nothing we can do there. But we can't have this square root of 2 in the denominator. So what do we have to do to it? Multiply it by square root of 2. So we multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 2. So then we go 4 times square root of 2 divided by, this gives us the square root of 4. And what is the square root of 4? 2. And then we simplify again. This is a whole number and this is a whole number. So it's 4 divided by 2. 2. And then we have the square root of 2 left over. So your x is 2 square root of 2 and your y is 2 square root of 2. Okay, let's do another example. Let's say this is an isosceles, and this is 7 square root of 2 divided by 2. So go ahead and write this one down. This is x, and this is y. Now, what are they giving us? Are they giving us the side length, or are they giving us the hypotenuse? You're correct. They're giving us the side length. So if they're giving us the side length, we need to find the hypotenuse. So what do we have to do to the side length? Multiply it by what? Not 2, square root of 2. So we get this whole thing, 7 square root of 2 divided by 2, and we're going to multiply it times the square root of 2. Now remember, with fractions, we want to put that number over 1. And we get 7. Then we do the square root of 2, oopsie, times 2, that gives us the square root of 4. Divided by 2 times 1, it's 2. And what is the square root of 4? 2. Oopsie, without the square root. Divide that by 2. That gives us 14 divided by 2. And what's 14 divided by 2? 7. So this side is equal to 7. That's my hypotenuse. And what is your y equal to? It's not 7. What do those tick marks mean? What do those tick marks mean? They're the same. So this one, this side is the same as this side. So this y is going to be this exactly the way it is, which is 7 square root of 2 over 2. Now, if you can see a pattern between that and your hypotenuse, it'll make your life easier. If not, that's okay, because you have this that you can do. Go ahead and go to your Pear Deck so you can do the next one. That's for your x. Square root of 3, and this is b. All right, we have an isosceles right triangle. So what does that mean with you? What is that one going to equal? Not just 9, but 9 square root of 3. Now, we need to find our hypotenuse. So we're going to get the side length. And what are we going to do to the side length? Multiply it or divide it by the square root of 2. We're getting the hypotenuse, which is the hypotenuse is going to get bigger. So if we want something to get bigger, do we want to multiply it by a square root of 2 or divide it by the square root of 2? We're going to multiply it times the square root of 2. Now remember, we have to first multiply our numbers that are on the outside. The outside number is 1, so 9 times 1 is 9. And then we have the square root of 3 times the square root of 2. And what's the square root of 3 times the square root of 2? Square root of 6. After we multiply, we want to see if 6 can be divisible by any perfect square, and it can't. So this is my hypotenuse. 9 square root of 6. Be very careful, because they're not always going to be the square root of 2. We are always going to multiply times the square root of 2 for these triangles, but your answer may not always have that. All right, go ahead and go to your Pear Deck and try that one, please.